What is going on, everyone? So, with the release of Update 15 in Prehistoric Kingdom, I thought we'd sort of do a little run through of sort of all the new mechanics that they've added in, or at least just touch base on them, because I have done a couple videos, and as you can see here, it really has been a bit of a game changer. So, like, you look at sort of this enclosure that I built before, and these are like my older ones from the game. So, yes, you can still sort of somewhat get that appeal and sort of, I guess, divide up the terrain and whatnot. You just can't really, I guess, blend as well. But now, as you can see, if you sort of just look through here, you do get that nice transition. So a lot more sort of what you'd find in nature, a lot of wear and tear, like especially through here. And then I've sort of done through here as well, created like faux passes, like where the dinosaurs per se would have sort of ran or walked, or even the rangers. Um, and then on top of that, just sort of the mechanics of just the terrain building itself, as well as you've probably all heard and read, the new paint mechanics. So usually you'd have to go through and paint these mountains all by yourself, but now it is sort of an auto situated, I guess, style where you just kind of paint and the game sort of, I don't know if it's like AI or whatever, but the game automatically identifies like, hey, this is a click face, so we have to make this rock. So yeah, let's sort of divvy over into a spare slot of area and have a sort of a playthrough and see sort of what we can work through. So now that we have a little bit of land to play around with, let's sort of just go through a couple of the mechanics that they've sort of changed. So one that I guess, I don't know, some people may be in favor of, some people won't, will be the water. Usually you used to have like the depth. I don't know if I'm missing anything, but the only way that I've worked it out is like manually elevating and like lowering the terrain. But as you can see, you've been given 3 different options for water. So one's pond water, one's river water, one is rough water. In my opinion, I guess the rough, it's just like coloration. It doesn't actually really change sort of the graphics or whatever of the water. But yeah, as I was saying, to achieve the previous sort of depth result, you do have to sort of manually do it yourself. So you can raise and lower, level it out, so you can actually make a nice little riverbed, yada yada. So I mean, I guess if you want to go into like more detailed stuff, it's easier to like really blend things out now and actually create a little bit more of like a natural themed waterhole or river or whatnot. You don't actually have to fiddle around with all the blending of the different levels and depths of the water. Now you sort of just go in, put your deep level in, your high levels, and then you can just smooth it out and run it through and create, I guess, sort of whatever look you are going for. So as I was previously saying over at the other enclosure, the sort of the mountain has changed, like how you do the terrains. Not only have we sort of been given new brushstrokes, so like the traditional stuff was just this original raise, and it would raise it into a single point, yada yada. Now you've got the big one as well. You do have a square shape, not rectangle. And then you do have these brushes as well. So when you sort of bring it across, it creates more of that, I guess, natural-ish peaked. So it gives you like that proper facing on each side. Same with this one. It's just a little bit more on the smoother end. And then the part that I really enjoy about this update. So obviously all the paint sections and everything have changed. So for example, let's choose scrubland. So yeah, you'd normally paint your scrubland like this, yada yada. I will choose clay. So same with the brushes. But as you can see here, it's not like a full, like it used to be. It's like, for example, this, you used to do this, and then you used to turn your intensity down, which they've changed the intensity slider to. And you kind of just click and drag until you sort of got that half opaque look that you wanted. Which, like, in the game before, like, you could achieve things that you wanted. However, most of the time, like in my experiences, you never could get it feeling like nature. So now they've brought in all these little, I guess you call them spray paints in a sense. But as you can see, it really does, like, you blend that out. And then let's bring it down here. Let's go the smaller one. So it just looks like that's what you would see in nature, as in comparison to is kind of just painted under these ones in a sense. You've still got the grass and everything there. However, now you can just really bring it out, really make it as natural as you want. And you can go into as much detail in small areas and everything, and really just build out that vision that that you're really looking for, even at like beaches and stuff. So that's what you would probably see in nature near the riverbank. Like, there'd still be grass, but it would be a bit more patchier because of erosion and everything like that. So in saying that, so we come back over to our mountains. So we're creating, I don't know, we're creating a scrub land. We're like, okay, cool, we're gonna build mountainous. So you're doing all your grass and everything like that, and you're like, I've got to go through and paint all the rocks in. Well, now you don't. You can choose any of your little terrain paints, and you can just bring it up, and it just automatically identifies what should be and what shouldn't be a cliff face. So there's like kind of no more thinking involved with that. So automatically you've got a nice little cliff face, yada yada. Didn't have to think about it. Makes the job like 10 times quicker. You just sort of go about your day. Done. Magic already. And you can pretty much do that with every single one. So let's make something a little bit more identifiable. So I don't know, we'll go grassland now. We'll come over here. Here you go. Start painting in your oh, I should probably just use that one actually. Start painting it in, and a bit harder to tell because the grass is a bit, well, there is no grass really. So let's use boreal. There we go. But as you can see, it just finds the sort of, I guess, angles, and just maps that out as, hey, you're actually a cliff face. You should be stone or rock or whatever in the terrain, I guess, paint selection is meant to be for like the mountains and whatnot. But as you can see, it really does a great job of just identifying and highlighting what should be and what shouldn't be mountains. And it really gives you that really good effect. Especially like I find on the sides of the mountains, if there is any like little indents or anything like that, that in nature, like dirt would collect and then grass and stuff would grow. It does a good, amazing job at finding that. But yeah, it really does just make life so much easier. And we can do snow as well. So for example, if you were doing the boreals, you could really achieve really good snow. Snowy caps, snowy peaks, especially if you were doing like the woolly rhinos or the mammoths, and you really wanted that nice big scene in the background. You could do that, and you can even blend out the snow so it looks like, you know, because snow melts and it's never perfect. You can just bring it out, and it already matches in so nice, and the blending has become so much more simpler. And then coming down into it as well, you do have the Mesozoic, if I'm pronouncing that right, like vegetation and plant life. So let's bring that down. You bring that up here. So you traditionally had a lot of like the more modern stuff. Now you do have the options. I am in sandbox, so I believe you do have to, in like career mode, find it like the fossils and sort of unlock it as you go. But here in sandbox, you sort of can just play it as you want. And this is that more traditional things that would have been around during that era of the era and time frame of the dinosaur, or sort of the ancient mammal that you have chosen. So that's all that in comparison to like this is what the modern day stuff is. So the modern day stuff still really good. it fits the part. You can do really great things with them. But now you can just do sort of a mix of both and have sort of like the past meet the future. So they've given a really good range to quite a lot of them, like specifically the wetlands. So if we go back over to the water, they do have the paintbrush as well now for just the ocean. So as you can see, when I'm painting on the land, there's nothing. As soon as I come back over to the water, bam, we've got lily pads. This one here, actually don't know what those are. Another type of floater of sorts. Yeah, you really can just create that real swampy, so it doesn't have to necessarily just be, you know, oh, I've placed a few lily pads here and there, done this, done that, and it just never feels as, I guess, fluent as when like sort of you paint it on as a brush, because it just sort of automatically places it in really nice places. Yes, you can go in and be a lot more specific, but now you don't actually have to do that. You've just sort of got all these options that just make life so much more easier to build and create very fitting climates for your enclosure. So like, if, for example, I've only done like what's that, like maybe 10 brush strokes of each thing, and it's already like, you come down here and it already just looks as natural as it can be. So for example, in here, let's just bring in a little river water. Oh, there you go. I just worked something out myself. Your intensity is your depth. But I don't run that way. I like doing my own. We all learn something new straight away, people. There we go. We can bring that in. Paintbrush. Where are we at? Boreal again. So we can do boreal gravel. Bring it down to 5. That's too small. So yeah, this is how I would traditionally do it, and then I would turn the intensity down and do the edges. But now you can just sort of grab this and just paint it like this is what you'd see in nature. There's nothing I've learnt in this game as well, to make it look as natural as you can. Nothing is perfect. Nature, you'll never see like a perfect riverbed. You'll never see perfect terrain, perfect grass near like rivers and stuff, because, you know, natural factors, erosion, whatnot. So let's remove the foliage here. Put a couple of these in here. So go into first person view. So yeah, that already, I think, in my opinion, it just makes the game already 10 times better than it actually is. It just blows my mind now, like you can actually create such beautiful looking enclosures, and just bring that sense of realism and wonder into the game. So that leads me into the next thing. So I haven't really looked or explored too much. Obviously, all of the new trees and plants and whatnot have their own ones that you can place separately throughout the map. Everything, yada yada, we know that. There is a new set of stones in the game, so they are like sandstone boulders and stuff, and one that I really appreciate is this new sandstone archway. It's just gonna make building caves and bedding and everything like that just so much easier. So for example, we'll place him here. What color? So that's close enough. So we can place him there. But yeah, you've just got all these different selections now. So obviously we've had the other rocks and everything for quite some time. Now you have all these new things to play with as well, which creates All new effects, all new looking enclosures, builds. You got like rock stacks and stuff, so I'm kind of keen to see sort of what people actually build with these, because I've started playing around with them myself, but you can kind of make it, especially I think, for example, these ones, if you were doing Boreal, you could do like a Neolithic sort of caveman-esque area, like that sort of, you know, tribal totems and whatnot, and make it look like pillars and all the exciting things that you would have seen. Well, I mean, maybe would have seen back in the day. I'm no paleontologist myself. But yeah, I really am just so excited to be able to play around with a lot of these new mechanics and actually create. And then you can just sort of, I guess, blend it in a sense seamlessly. Not as seamless as I guess you'd hope it would be, but that's life. And, you know, as the game progresses, there's no doubt going to be so much more coming into the game, more updates, just more everything really. And they're just really hitting it out of the ballpark. They're really just smashing it out and creating a game that hopefully will be around for quite some time and be, you know, expanded on and modded and all them fun and good things. So yeah, as you can see, like that was what, maybe 10 minutes of just playing around. We've already achieved just this nice sort of little looking area with just minimal effort, you know. We can sort of just walk through and just think in myself, like I know for a fact I want to go back and do all of the enclosures that I've already done, just to redo them with all these new mechanics. But that's going to be such a lot of work. But I think there's going to be so many things that people are going to achieve, and there's going to be some really beautiful things that come out of this game soon. So, for example, just messed around a little bit and created like this little alcove, rocky area. You put a dinosaur in here, and you just automatically like, just look at that. Just look at that. Look at that chunga. And that just seems to me like that's kind of as true, I think, to what we would, I guess, see in that time frame as to what, you know, was back in the day, and very relative to the dinosaurs and the mammals and stuff that were of that era. And now the last thing that I want to touch on is for, I guess, people who sort of love those sort of OCD style zoos. Everything has to be in line, everything has to be straight. There is now sort of like that worldwide grid where you can just build, you know, straight up squares if, you know, that is your vibe and, you know, what you like to build. Yeah, as you go up as well, there is also the grid sort of moves with you. But it's just, this is a really good way, you know, even if you were doing, you know, per se, like, kind of like those petting zoo style enclosures, you could do, you know, like low fence styles, and just really create just unique little things that nobody's ever really done in the game before. I mean, well, we have. It was just kind of difficult, I guess. But yeah, that exciting new things, and I really, really cannot wait for more things to be added to the game, especially like building mechanics, and like placeable items. I would really love just a lot more like logs and just natural clutter that you would find in the wild. I would really like some more rocks to be added as well. just so that way we have a really large variety to create things. And then particularly as well, I'd really like more sort of water effects and stuff. Like I think they're needing to be sort of expanded on. So anyway, guys, this is the update for Prehistoric Kingdom. I believe it's number 15. Um, if you haven't got the game or updated yet, I would say 10 out of 10 do so, because now it is a builder's dream. And again, I said this like a million times. I really cannot wait for just to see what people are putting out, and like the speed builds and the enclosure builds and people's like parks that just will look phenomenal, and some paleo accurate, some are sort of a bit of a mix. But I'm just so excited. But yeah, thank you guys for watching.